All right, welcome everybody. Right here we have the brand new Perseus paddle from JOOLA, and today I'm going to show you how I set it up personally. I always have a disclaimer in these type of videos, which is, hey, you can try to play it like I play it, but I don't necessarily recommend it for everybody. But I do encourage you to try it. So this is going to be a little less complicated than in the past, actually. Formerly I would take off the stock grip and I'd put on a couple different grips, but now with this shape and the size of it, I've actually liked just keeping the stock grip and just doing one overgrip. So we're going to do that right now. Personally, I like to use Yonex Overgrap. I know it's funny that they call it the Overgrap and not the Overgrip, but it's just the way it is. Now, when you wrap this, I usually like to start it right about here. So you can see there's a ridge right here. And I'll start right above the ridge so it just aligns evenly. Try to wrap it pretty nicely at the top to where you don't have too much of the edge guard when you're gripping it, if you're gripping it near the bottom. So make sure you get a full wrap over before you start to go downwards. Then as far as how much we're basically curving downwards, it's not like a full length. You can see right there, I'm overlapping probably at about 3/4 of one length. So this is one length of the overgrip, but I'm probably overlapping around 3/4. And you'll know if you did it right by the end if there's just a tad to pull off, not a huge amount. I'll show you that in a second. Try to make sure that you're always overlapping consistently to where it's like always 3/4, otherwise you get some weird feeling when you're actually gripping the paddle with your hand. I like to wrap it pretty high. It usually ends right about where the USA Pickleball Approved logo is. Makes the handle feel longer to me. So we're pulling it off and you'll have about this much left. So we're gonna do away with that. Get our little sticky here. Make sure it's pulled taut. Don't want any creases here. So as you can see, ending a little bit below the Pickleball Approved logo. And then you can kind of feel it in your hand. Usually for me, there's like one side that feels slightly better to where just kind of my fingers and thumb fit in the grip a little bit better. Depends on how high you hold it as well. There we have the grip, so let's move on to the lead tape, which is the second and last step of setting up this paddle. I'm using 1/2 inch thick lead tape here. You don't really want to be using the 1/4 of an inch if you're trying to do it like I am, because you will end up with something drastically different weighted. 1/2 inch, you can get this from like Tennis Express, Amazon, Tennis Warehouse, so it's generally used for tennis rackets. Now, what I like to do is right about 5-inch strips, and just use the one you cut first as kind of a marker for the other ones you're gonna cut so that they're all the same length. We're gonna cut out a total of 4. I know in the past I've used some different lengths at the corners, but since we are putting these in the same place, as you'll see shortly, we're just gonna use the same length for all 4 of them. Peel this. Don't have any fingernails right now, but got it anyway. Like a pro. So I will usually start at about inch and a half below where this grip ends. That's pretty consistent for me. So right about there, it's about 1 inch below. And then make sure you pull it taut. Again, you don't want any creases. And make sure it's even on both sides, so you have the same amount of gray on both sides. Hopefully I did a good job there. If you want to get extra fancy, we can actually do a 3rd step after this with some electric tape. Because you don't always want to leave lead exposed. That's generally not a great idea. It's not a must, but you can certainly cover it up. All right, so 2nd strip is down on the one side, so that's 2 layers in the same exact place. So hopefully you cut them evenly enough to where you can't see much of a difference in the lengths. And then we're gonna flip to the other side and just do the same thing over again. So we're basically just putting 2 strips of lead on each side at the throat area. And for me, this just kind of helps shore up the blocking, the mishits down there, which is where I most frequently mishit the ball. It's not going to hinder hand speed really. It's going to help on the kind of the stick of your punch volleys. But because the weight isn't very high, you're not going to feel it a ton on slowing down the hand speed. You're not going to get much more topspin or power on like ground strokes because it's not high. But that's not really what I'm looking for this paddle, because the paddle's already long, it's got a long handle, it's already spinny, so it already gives me kind of all that I need, hence the not putting it at the top anymore. And the corners are pretty solid up there as well, so you don't really need to shore up the mishits there. So I'm not really worried about it. I just put it down here, and that is it. Okay, so now playability wise, we'd be done with this paddle. So you can see the brand new grip, got the lead here. Add the third step, we would put some electric tape over this. You can get 1/2 to 3/4 inch electric tape on Amazon as well. And fun, you can add any color you want all the way around. So you can have an orange one, a green one, whatever you want. Okay, so I managed to find my electric tape here. This is 3/4 of an inch, because 16mm core, which is about 0.7 inch core, plus the edge guard makes it a little bit wider. 3/4 of an inch electric tape is gonna most efficiently cover the edge guard, pretty exactly almost actually. So let's see how it works here. And with this, again, just make sure you're smoothing it down, no creases, and make sure you do it evenly so it's not like hanging off one side basically. You can use my technique here, it's not patented. You can use your chin. I like the white, it looks crisp when we're done with it. But if you want to get spicy with it, I mean, you already have a gray edge guard with JOOLA doing it like they are, which is kind of cool, as opposed to most that are black. But maybe you could do orange, preferential to orange personally. Or maybe you could try to match the color of the logo down there, which is like a bluish teal color. Cut it off, make sure you got your mini scissors in your kit, highly important. For all kinds of uses in pickleball. Smooth down the ends. Make sure it's smooth all the way around. Apply some pressure. Oh, and now we got a fresh looking white edge guard. Final product. Look at that name right there. Beautiful. Feels good in the hand. Looks fresh, looks beautiful. You can still see JOOLA right along the edge guard, very important. All right, well, I think we are done. Beautiful paddle. Took me all of what, about 5 minutes? So with this lead tape, typically I get my initial paddle stock weight at about 8 ounces, give or take 0.1 ounces. With the added grip and the lead, you're gonna add about, again, give or take 0.1 ounces, but about 0.5. So I'll usually end up at around 8.5, 8.6 sometimes. So I'd say either 8.5 or 8.6.